Okay, good. Let's take a look at extinguishment of debt. Okay. And let's just go ahead and I'm going to go straight to the examples on this. Okay, let's just go straight, well, not quite straight to the example. Let's see how to calculate a couple things first. Okay, now here's the way to think of these. Let's say you owe, let's say you owe the bank $1 million for your house. So you owe the bank $1 million. And the bank comes to you and says, hey, you can pay me off for 800,000. Would you feel like a winner or a loser? Thanks. Huh? Thanks. Really?
At face, it would feel like a winner. I'm only I owe you $1 million. You're asking me for 8. I'll take it.
Right. So if you can retire a debt for less than what you owe on that debt, that's a gain, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you have to, now, Leah, let's say you owe 700,000 on the house, and the bank says, "Hey, you want to liquidate the amount you owe on the house? Give me $1 million." Do you feel like a loser or a winner?
It's like, how did you come up with that scenario?
Well, when we're dealing with bonds, it happens.
Bonds versus a house, it's different.
Just for the question, do you feel like a winner or a loser?
You feel like you're losing. You're giving more than you.
Okay, you're losing here now because what? You're having to say, wait a minute, I only owe you 700,000. You're making me pay $1 million, right?
Right.
Right. So I just want you to have that big picture in your mind that what? You calculate the reacquisition price. Okay, what are you going to have to pay to take that bond? You want to retire the bond early. You want to extinguish that debt. So you have to sit there and figure what is the reacquisition price, and then you're going to compare that to the what? Carrying amount of that debt. And if the reacquisition price is more than the carrying amount of the debt, you're going to be what? A loser. If the reacquisition price is less than the carrying amount of the debt, you're going to have a gain. You're going to be a winner. Okay. Now, when we calculate reacquisition price, okay, we're going to take what? We're going to take that 102, that 95 thing that we were talking about earlier. So if you reacquire at 102, that'd be what? 102,000. 100,000 times 1.02. If they tell you that you reacquire it at 95, then you're going to have to cough up what? 100,000 times 0.95 or $95,000 cash. When you look at the carrying amount of the bond, okay, carrying amount is going to be what? Is going to be the face of the bond plus unamortized premium, or what? Minus the discount. And if there are any unamortized bond issue costs, you would subtract those as well. Okay, so flashcard, how you calculate those two items, and then let's just go ahead and look at the example. Okay, and in this example, guys, I'm just going to go straight to the numbers. They tell me that the bonds were $1 million, reacquisition price was 101, so they have to pay $1,010,000 to get those bonds off the books. Then they calculate the bond's carrying amount, which is what? Face minus the unamortized discount and bond issue cost. So the bond has a carrying amount of $937,208. But in order to get those bonds off the market, the investors required a return of what? Required a price of 101. So I had to pay $1,010,000 to what? To get debt that had a carrying amount of $937,208 off the books. That is a loser, isn't it? That's like paying $1,010,000 to pay off your mortgage of $937,208. You feel like a loser, don't you? Now, this happens with the bonds because what? Well, maybe those bonds have a really nice interest rate. And the investors that hold those bonds are saying, here, I'm not giving you these bonds back at face. These bonds are paying a nice interest rate here. You're going to have to sit here and give me a little extra if you want me to give up these bonds. So to induce them to give up the bonds, you what? You pay them a little more cash than what you owe at that point. That then makes it so that they're willing to give up this debt to you, but you did have to pay more than the carrying amount of the debt. That's a loss. Now, if you come over, don't worry about that journal entry. If you come over, just looking at the gain situation, now what? Well, now I'm paying 96 on those bonds. 0.96 times a million is 960,000. And what? Face plus the premium, the bonds have a what? Carrying amount of 1,052,421. Now that's like the guy saying, hey, you owe me 1,052,421 on your house. Give me 960 and we'll call it even. Well, now you feel like a winner. You feel like you what? Like you gained. Okay. So when you look at questions of this nature, it is simply what? It is simply going and comparing what was the carrying amount of the debt versus what did you have to pay to retire the debt. If you had to pay more than the carrying amount, that's a loss. If you pay less than the carrying amount, that's a gain. That's it. That's all that happens on these questions. Okay. Okay.